He saw 3 sisters being auctioned by their mother, but when he tried to take them home, Tyler ran as fast as his legs could carry him down the red dirt road that cut through the small town of Clear Springs, deep in the heart of Kentucky. His heart pounded wildly in his thin 19-year-old chest as the scorching midday sun burned his tan skin. He had received a desperate call from Mrs. Gardner, the closest neighbor to the house where he grew up, warning him about something terrible happening at the family property. When he finally spotted the barbed wire fence marking the small farm where he was born, Tyler felt his stomach turn. A group of men had gathered near the porch of the simple wooden house with clay roof tiles, all talking loudly and gesturing. At the center of the circle, his mother Tammy held the hands of his 3 little sisters, 6-year-old Emma, 4-year-old Olivia, and little Lily, just 3 years old. The girls wore plain cotton dresses, faded by time and countless washes, but clean and neatly arranged with the care only children give to their few clothes. Emma, the oldest of the 3, clutched a rag doll with frayed hair while holding Lily's tiny hand. Olivia clung to her mother's leg, her brown eyes wide with fear at the sight of these strange men. "All right, folks. Who's going to bid higher for all 3? Shouted Tammy, a 42-year-old woman who looked much older due to life's hardships and excesses. Her dark hair was disheveled, her eyes red, and her voice shaky. "They're hard-working girls. They'll help around the house. No trouble." "At all." Tyler stopped abruptly behind a mango tree, unable to believe what he was hearing. His mother was literally auctioning off his little sisters like livestock at a fair. The men gathered there were locals, some small farm owners, others shopkeepers from town. They all eyed the children like merchandise, calculating the best investment. "I'll give $300 for all 3, offered Bob Miller, a heavy-set man who owned a small dairy factory on the outskirts of town. "Need help cleaning the cheese house, and these girls could do the job." $400, shouted Randy, who owned a bar in town. "The oldest can already help serve customers and clean tables." Tammy smiled with a satisfaction that made Tyler sick to his stomach. His little sisters stared at the men, not fully understanding what was happening but sensing something was very wrong. Emma clutched her doll tightly to her chest and tried to shield her younger sisters stepping in front of them. "Mum, why are these men talking about us?" Emma asked, her voice trembling. "Shut your mouth, girl," Tammy snapped harshly. "You'll have a better life, you'll work and learn useful things." Tyler felt his blood boil. He had left home 2 years ago at 17 to work on a coffee farm in another town. His relationship with his mother had always been strained, especially after his father abandoned the family when Tyler was 15. Tammy had started drinking heavily and keeping questionable company, leaving the kids to practically raise themselves. The young man had taken on the role of protector for his little sisters since they were small, but when he came of age and got a job that required travel, he thought it best to earn money to support them from afar. He sent nearly his entire paycheck home, trusting his mother would care for the girls properly. $500, shouted a man Tyler didn't recognize, but just for the 2 youngest. The oldest is too sharp, might cause trouble. "No," Emma burst out, gripping her sisters tightly. "We're not splitting up. I take care of Liv and Lily." The girl's moment of despair felt like a knife through Tyler's heart. He stepped out from behind the tree and walked determinedly toward the group, interrupting the grim auction. "What do you think you're doing?" he shouted, his young voice filled with indignation and authority. Everyone turned in surprise to the tall, slender boy, with dark hair and brown eyes identical to his little sister's. Tammy paled when she saw her eldest son. "Tyler, what are you doing here?" she stammered, clearly not expecting his arrival. "Mrs. Gardner called and told me what was happening," he replied, walking straight toward his sisters. "I came to take them with me." The 3 girls rushed to him as if he were their salvation. Emma threw herself into his arms, followed by Olivia and Lily, who could barely say his name properly but recognized him as the brother who had always protected them. Ty, Lily cried, stretching her little arms for him to pick her up. Easy, Tyler said, trying to hug all 3 at once. "I'm here now. No one's taking you anywhere." "You have no right to interfere," Tammy yelled, clearly agitated. "These girls are my daughters, and I'll do as I please with them." "They're my sisters," Tyler shot back, his voice echoing across the property. "And I won't let you sell them like they're animals. Bob Miller, the owner of the cheese shop, took a few steps toward Tyler, clearly annoyed by the interruption of a potentially profitable deal. "Listen here, boy," he said in a threatening tone. "I don't know who you think you are, but your mother's doing these kids a favor. They'll have a roof over their heads, food, and learn to work. It's better than staying here in this misery." "A favor?" Tyler laughed bitterly. "You're buying children to work for free. That has a name: child exploitation." Randy, the bar owner, also stepped forward, unhappy with how things were unfolding. "Look, kid, you're too young to understand how the world works. Your mother needs money and these girls need a future. Everyone wins." "The only future my sisters will have is with me," Tyler declared firmly, scooping Lily into his arms and holding Emma and Olivia's hands. "We're leaving." But as he started to walk away with the girls, Tammy blocked their path. "You're not taking them anywhere," she screamed, her eyes blazing with anger and desperation. "You don't have a home, you don't have money, you can barely support yourself. How are you going to care for 3 children? The question hit Tyler like a bullet. It was true. He didn't have the means to properly care for his sisters. He lived in a tiny room at the back of the farm where he worked, earned a meager wage and had no experience raising kids. But looking at the frightened faces of the girls clinging to him, he knew it didn't matter how hard it would be. He had to try. "I'll figure it out," he said, more to himself than to the others. "I always have." "With what money?" Tammy pressed, sensing she'd struck a nerve. "You'll condemn these girls to a life of poverty, going hungry, missing school? At least with these men, they'll have the basics covered." The men around them nodded, some murmuring in agreement. Tyler realized he was losing control of the situation. Technically, his mother had a point. He really didn't have the means to care for his sisters properly at that moment. "I have a job," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "I earn an honest living. I can take care of them." "Doing what?" Bob Miller asked scornfully. "You're still underage, don't even have a trade. These girls will suffer with you." "I'm 19 years old," corrected Tyler, "and I'm a registered farm worker." "Barely making ends meet," Randy shot back. "And living where? In a boarding house? A rundown room?" Tyler felt the ground slip from under his feet. Every question they asked was fair, and he had no good answers for any of them. But looking at Emma, who stared at him with absolute confidence that he'd figure it all out, Tyler knew he couldn't give up. "I'll get a house," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "And a better job. I just need some time." "Time is what these children don't have," Tammy cut in. "They need food today, a roof today, care today. You can't provide any of that." Just then, Mrs. Gardner, the neighbor who had called Tyler, walked toward the group. She was a 65-year-old woman with graying hair tied in a low bun, wearing a simple but clean floral dress. She'd known Tyler since he was little and always thought of him as a good, responsible boy. "What's going on here?" she asked firmly, though she already knew the answer. "None of your business, Gardner," Tammy snapped. "Everything involving these children is my business," the older woman retorted. "I raised 8 kids, and I know when a child is being mistreated." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. Mrs. Gardner moved closer to the girls who knew and liked her well. Whenever Tammy left to drink or get mixed up with shady people, it was Mrs. Gardner who looked after them. "Emma, sweetheart, are you okay?" she asked, stroking the girl's face. "Aunt Gardner, these men want to take us away," Emma said, tears in her eyes. "I don't want to go. I want to stay with Ty." "And you will," Mrs. Gardner assured her, shooting a defiant look at the men. "No one is taking any child from here today." "You don't have the authority to decide that," Bob Miller said, annoyed by yet another interruption. "Oh, but I do," Mrs. Gardner replied calmly. "I've been a child welfare officer in this district for 15 years, and what you're doing here is a crime." The word crime sent an immediate chill through the men. Some began backing away discreetly, not wanting legal trouble. "Crime is a strong word, Mrs. Gardner," Randy said, trying to diffuse the situation. "We're just helping a struggling mother. By buying children," Mrs. Gardner finished bluntly. "That's exactly how the law will interpret what you were doing here." Tyler felt a wave of relief, realizing he had a powerful ally. Mrs. Gardner was well respected in the community, and her position as a child welfare officer gave her real authority in matters involving children. "Mrs. Gardner is right," Tyler said, gaining confidence. "You're committing a crime, and I'll report every one of you if you don't get off my property right now." "Your property?" Tammy laughed bitterly. "This land is mine, Tyler. You have no rights here." "I have the right to protect my sisters," he fired back. The argument was heating up when one of the men, who had stayed quiet until then, stepped toward Tammy with a threatening look. "Listen here, woman," said Mike, a middle-aged man with an unfriendly face. "I came here expecting to take at least one of these girls. I'm not leaving empty-handed." "Oh, you're leaving," Tyler intervened, stepping between Mike and his mother. "Right now." "You gonna make me, kid?" Mike challenged, moving toward Tyler. But before any confusion could begin, the sound of an approaching engine made everyone look toward the road. A white pickup truck was arriving, kicking up a cloud of red dust. A tall, sturdy man in his 50s stepped out, wearing a city uniform. It was Jonah, an employee from the Municipal Social Services and an acquaintance of Mrs. Gardner. "Gardner called me," he said, surveying the scene with experienced eyes. "Looks like we got here just in time." Jonah's arrival completely changed the dynamics of the situation. The men who had been interested in buying the girls began to scatter quickly, realizing that the presence of official authorities made any deal impossible. "Nothing's going on here," Tammy tried, visibly nervous. "Just neighbors talking." "Talking about selling children," Jonah added dryly. "Gardner told me everything over the phone." Tyler took advantage of the commotion to step away with his sisters toward the house. He needed a moment to think about what to do. It was clear he couldn't just take the girls without a concrete plan. Inside the small wooden house, Tyler faced a reality even harsher than he'd imagined. The place was in terrible condition. Broken furniture, clothes scattered on the floor, dirty dishes piled in the tiny kitchen sink. The smell of mold mixed with spoiled food made the air almost unbearable. "Ty, Mom doesn't clean the house anymore," Emma said sadly. "She just sleeps and goes out at night." "And who takes care of you?" Tyler asked, his heart tightening. "I take care of Liv and Lily," Emma replied with a maturity far beyond her 6 years. "I feed them, give them baths, brush their hair." Tyler looked at his little sister with a mix of pride and sadness. A 6-year-old had taken on responsibilities that should have belonged to adults. "What about school? Are you going to school?" "No," Emma said, lowering her head. "Mom said we don't need to." The situation was worse than Tyler had imagined. His sisters were living in inhuman conditions, without proper care, without education, practically abandoned. The anger he felt toward their mother hardened into an ironclad determination to get the girls out of there, no matter the cost. Outside, he could still hear Tammy, Mrs. Gardner, and Jonah arguing. He knew he had little time before some official decision was made about his sister's fate. "Listen carefully," Tyler said, kneeling in front of the 3 girls. "I'm going to take you with me, but I need a little time to figure things out. Do you trust me?" "I trust you," Emma said immediately. "Me too," Olivia agreed, who had stayed quiet since her brother arrived. Lily, still too young to fully understand, just nodded. "Here's what we'll do," Tyler explained. "Grab only your most important things, just what fits in a small backpack. We're leaving here today." But before they could do anything, Jonah walked into the house, followed by Mrs. Gardner. The man looked around with disgust. "My God," he murmured. "How are these children living here?" "That's exactly why I want to take them with me," Tyler said firmly. "They can't stay here." Jonah studied him seriously. "Son, I understand your concern, but this isn't so simple. Are you of legal age?" "I am. I'm 19. Do you have a job, a home, the means to care for 3 young children?" Tyler hesitated. The truth was, he didn't have any of that under ideal conditions, but anywhere would be better than here. "I work on a coffee farm," he explained. "I live in a house on the property. It's simple, but it's clean and safe." "And the pay? Can you support 3 kids besides yourself?" "I'll make it work," insisted Tyler. "I can work more hours, look for a second job." Mrs. Gardner, who had stayed quiet until then, stepped closer to him. "Tyler, my boy, I admire your determination, But Jonah has a point. Taking care of 3 little girls is a huge responsibility. Are you sure you're ready? I am, he answered without hesitation. I always looked after them when I was younger. I know what to do. But the circumstances were different, argued Jonah. Now you'd have to be father, mother, provider, and protector all at once. It's a challenge that breaks even experienced adults. Tyler felt frustration rising inside him. Everyone seemed to question his ability, but no one offered a better alternative. So what's the option? He asked bitterly. Leave them here with a mother who was trying to sell them, or hand them over to orphanages where they'll be separated and forgotten. There are families registered for adoption, Jonah suggested carefully, people with the right setup, who've gone through evaluations. No, the 3 girls shouted at once. We want to stay with Ty, said Emma, clinging to her brother's arm. We won't be split up, Olivia added. The children's reaction moved Mrs. Gardner deeply. She could see the genuine love between the siblings. Jonah, she said thoughtfully, what if we gave Tyler a chance? With supervision, of course. How so? He could get temporary custody of the girls, but with regular check-ins. If in 6 months he proves he can care for them properly, the custody becomes permanent. Tyler felt a spark of hope. This was exactly what he needed, a chance to prove he could take care of his sisters. I'll accept any condition, he said quickly. Any supervision, any requirement. I just want a shot. Jonah considered the proposal. For a moment, watching the girls who clearly only felt safe with Tyler. It would have to be done officially, he finally said. Paperwork, psychological evaluations, regular social worker visits. I'll do it all, Tyler insisted. And you'd have to prove income, adequate housing, school enrollment for the kids. I'll make it happen. Mrs. Gardner smiled, seeing the young man's determination. I can help, she offered. I can vouch for Tyler's character, oversee the process. Just then, Tammy stormed into the house like a hurricane, clearly upset and furious about losing her chance to make money off her daughters. What are you all plotting here? She asked suspiciously. We're discussing your daughter's future, Jonah replied flatly. They're my daughters, and I decide what happens to them. Not when you were trying to sell them, Mrs. Gardner shot back firmly. I wasn't selling anyone, Tammy yelled, though everyone knew it was a lie. I was finding them proper homes. By charging money for it, Tyler added in disgust. The argument was cut short by Lily's crying. She was scared by the shouting. Tyler immediately scooped her up, rocking her gently until she calmed down. Shh, shh, he murmured. Ty's here. No one's going to hurt you. Jonah watched the scene closely, noticing how naturally Tyler took on the protector role and how the child instantly settled in his arms. Tyler, he said finally, here's my offer. You get 2 weeks to get your life in order and prove you can care for the girls. Until then, they stay in temporary shelter. No, Tyler interrupted desperately. Please don't take them from me now. They just went through something awful. Or, Jonah continued, raising his hand to silence him, they stay with you right now, but under strict supervision. A social worker will visit you 3 times a week, and you have 15 days to prove adequate income, suitable housing, and enrollment for the kids in school. If you fail to meet any of these requirements, they'll go to the shelter until a suitable family is found. Tyler swallowed hard. 15 days to completely change his life and create the means to care for 3 young children. It was an impossible deadline, but it was his only chance. I accept, he said without hesitation. Tyler, Mrs. Gardner began, worried. I accept, he repeated firmly. I'll get everything we need. Jonah nodded, grabbing a clipboard from the truck. Then let's get the paperwork done, but I want to make this very clear. This is highly irregular. I'm only doing it because it's obvious these kids trust you, and because their current situation is unacceptable. As Jonah prepared the temporary custody documents, Tyler tried to process the enormity of what he'd just committed to. He had 15 days to find a suitable home for 4 people, a job that paid enough to support a family, and still enroll the sisters in school. Tammy, realizing she'd completely lost control of the situation, made one last attempt to regain some authority. You can't do this, she protested. I'm their mother. I have rights. Rights you gave up when you tried to sell your own daughters, Jonah replied coldly. And if you try to interfere with this process, or go near the kids before everything's settled, I'll personally make sure you're reported for attempted child trafficking." The threat made Tammy back down. She knew she was in a legally precarious situation, and that one wrong move could bring serious consequences. Tyler grabbed an old plastic bag and started gathering the sisters' few clothes. Most of them were worn out and too small, but it was all they had. "Emma, where's your birth certificate?" he asked. "Mom kept it in a box under the bed," the girl replied. Tyler found the old shoebox containing some important documents. Along with the girls' birth certificates, there were also property papers and other family records. "I'll need to take all of this," he told Jonah, "for school enrollment and other procedures." "Fine," Jonah agreed, "but remember, 15 days, not a day more, not a day less." With the documents in hand and the sisters' few clothes in a bag, Tyler was ready to begin the hardest journey of his life. He picked up Lily again and held Emma and Olivia's hands. "Let's get out of here," he said softly to them. "Forever?" Emma asked hopefully. "Forever," Tyler confirmed, though he wasn't sure how he'd keep that promise. As they left the house, Tyler looked back one last time. That was where his childhood had been, his memories, the place where he'd learned responsibility and how to care for others. But it was also the place where his mother had tried to sell his little sisters like merchandise. Mrs. Gardner approached him before they got into Jonah's truck. "Tyler, my boy," she said warmly, "you have my phone number. If you need anything, any help at all, call me. I'll do everything I can to help you." "Thank you, Mrs. Gardner," Tyler replied, genuinely grateful. "You saved my sisters today." "We saved them," she corrected, smiling. "And now the real work begins." The trip back to the farm where Tyler worked took 2 hours. The whole way, the girls stayed quiet, still processing everything that had happened. Lily slept in her brother's arms while Emma and Olivia looked out the window of the pickup truck, watching the rural landscape go by. "Ty," Emma said quietly, "Mom isn't going to try to sell us again, right?" The innocent question broke Tyler's heart. She was just a child, but she'd already been through things no child should ever experience. "No, Em," he answered, using the affectionate nickname he'd given her when she was a baby. "Never again. I'm the one taking care of you now." "Forever?" she pressed. "Forever," Tyler promised, silently praying he could keep that promise. By the time they reached Hope Valley Farm, where Tyler worked, it was late afternoon. The place was about 30 miles from Clear Springs, in a mountainous region covered with coffee fields that stretched as far as the eye could see. Jonah stopped the pickup in front of the main farmhouse, an old but well-kept building painted white with blue trim. The owner of the property, Mr. William Thompson, a man in his 60s, stepped onto the porch when he heard the engine. "Tyler, what's going on, son?" he asked, surprised to see his employee arriving in an official truck with 3 small children. Tyler got out, still holding Lily, and helped his other 2 sisters down. He was nervous. He didn't know how Mr. Thompson would react to the situation. "Mr. Thompson, I need to talk to you," Tyler said respectfully. "It's urgent." The farmer, a fair but strict man, immediately sensed something serious was happening. He invited them all inside the main house, where his wife, Mrs. Thompson, was preparing dinner. Tyler told the couple the whole story, from Mrs. Gardner's phone call to the arrangement with Jonah. Mr. and Mrs. Thompson listened in silence, occasionally exchanging meaningful glances. "So you've got 2 weeks to completely reorganize your life," Mr. Thompson summarized when Tyler finished. "That's right," Jonah confirmed, "and one of the requirements is proper housing for 4 people. Mr. Thompson stood and walked to the window, looking out at the coffee fields stretching across the hills. Tyler had been an exemplary worker in the 2 years he'd been on the farm, responsible, dedicated, honest. But the situation now was entirely different. "Tyler," he said finally, turning to face the young man, "you know I've always thought highly of you, but that back room you use barely fits 1 person, let alone 4. Tyler's heart sank. If he lost his place on the farm, he had no idea where he'd find housing for himself and his sisters in such a short time. "I understand, Mr. Thompson," he said, trying to stay composed. "I'll look for another place." "Not so fast," the farmer interrupted, raising a hand. "Let me finish." Tyler fell silent, waiting anxiously. There's an old cottage on the property, Mr. Thompson continued. About 1,000 feet from the main house in the middle of the coffee fields. It's been empty for 5 years since the last caretaker moved out. It'd need a good cleaning and some repairs, but it's roomy. 2 bedrooms, a living room, kitchen and bathroom. Hope flickered in Tyler's eyes. You'd let us live there with the girls? I would, Mr. Thompson confirmed, but with some conditions. Any conditions, Mr. Thompson? Anything. First, you'll work 2 extra hours a day to make up for the time you'll spend caring for the kids. Second, the girls must be enrolled in school by the end of the week. Third, any trouble, any complaints from neighbors or authorities, and you'll have to leave immediately. Tyler could hardly believe his boss's generosity. I accept all the conditions, he said quickly, and I'll work whatever overtime you need, Tyler said. And I'll help take care of the girls, offered Mrs. Thompson, who had stayed quiet until then. I have experience with children and can lend a hand, especially in the first few days. Jonah, who had observed the whole conversation, seemed pleased with the arrangement. That settles the housing issue, he said, jotting notes on his clipboard. Now we just need to figure out income and the children's education. As for pay, Mr. Thompson said, I'll increase Tyler's wages to make up for the overtime and extra responsibility. But it has to be clear this is temporary until he gets fully settled. Tyler felt like he was living a miracle. In just a few hours, he had managed to solve 2 of the 3 biggest problems he was facing. What about school? Jonah asked. Mountain Creek Elementary is about 9 miles from here, Mrs. Thompson explained. The school bus stops by the farm every day. I can call the principal first thing tomorrow and explain the situation. Emma, who had been listening the whole time, timidly stepped closer to Tyler. Ty, will I really get to go to school? She asked, her eyes shining with hope. Yes, Em, he answered, gently stroking his sister's hair. You and Liv will go to school and learn all kinds of wonderful things. What about me? Lily asked, not wanting to be left out. You're still too little, Tyler said tenderly, but when you turn 4, you'll go to school too. Mrs. Thompson knelt in front of the girls. How about you all stay for dinner tonight? She offered. I'm making rice and beans, stewed chicken and cornbread. You must be hungry. The children looked at Tyler, waiting for his approval. It was clear they were starving, but they were too polite to accept without permission. You can stay, Tyler said, and say thank you to Mrs. Thompson. Thank you, Mrs. Thompson, the 3 chimed in unison. As Mrs. Thompson led the girls to the kitchen, Jonah finished filling out the temporary custody papers. Tyler, he said, handing over the documents, these papers grant you temporary custody of your sisters for 15 days. A social worker named Sarah will visit you on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday to check on the children's living conditions. I understand. And remember, any sign of neglect, any problem with the kids, and they'll be taken away immediately. There won't be a second chance. Tyler nodded solemnly. He knew the responsibility he'd taken on was huge, but he was determined to do everything right. After Jonah left, Mr. Thompson took Tyler to see the abandoned cottage where they'd be staying. The path wound through the middle of the cornfields, climbing a small hill until they reached a simple but sturdy structure. The house was in desperate need of care. The walls were stained with dampness, cobwebs clung to every corner, and the floor was covered in dust and dry leaves that had blown in through the open windows. But the foundation was solid, and Tyler could already picture how it would look after a good cleaning. Tomorrow morning, you can start fixing it up, Mr. Thompson said. I'll excuse you from fieldwork for 2 days to get everything in order. Thank you, Mr. Thompson, Tyler said, moved by such generosity. I don't know how I'll ever repay you. Repay me by taking good care of those girls, the farmer replied simply. And by staying the same hard-working man you've always been. That night the girls slept in the main house, in guest rooms Mrs. Thompson had prepared just for them. It was the first time in ages they'd had clean beds, fresh blankets, and the security of a responsible adult looking after them. Tyler slept on the living room couch, too tense to fully relax. His mind wouldn't stop working, planning every detail of what he needed to do in the coming days. He had to clean and organize the house, buy basic furniture and supplies, get proper clothes for the girls, enroll them in school. The list seemed endless, But Tyler was determined to handle it all. Looking out the window at the moonlit coffee fields, he made a silent promise. No matter the cost, his little sisters would never go through a situation like the one they'd experienced that day again. The next morning, Tyler woke before dawn, as was his habit. But this time, instead of heading to the fields, he went to the kitchen where Mrs. Thompson was already preparing breakfast. "Good morning, Mrs. Thompson," he greeted respectfully. "Good morning, Tyler. The girls are still asleep. Let them rest a little longer. Yesterday was very hard for them." Tyler accepted a cup of strong black coffee, just how he liked it. As he drank, he explained his plans to organize the house to Mrs. Thompson. "I'll start by cleaning and then see what furniture and supplies we need to buy," he said. "The problem is I don't know where I'll get the money for all this." "What if we did a fundraiser?" Mrs. Thompson suggested. "I can talk to the other families in the area, explain the situation. I'm sure many people would be happy to help." Tyler hesitated. Accepting charity wasn't easy for someone who prided himself on being independent. "I don't know it," he began. "Tyler," Mrs. Thompson interrupted gently, "accepting help is no shame when it's for the good of children, and you'll have the chance to pay it forward to others in the future. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out." Now continuing, Mrs. Thompson's reasoning made sense, and Tyler knew he had to set his pride aside for his sister's sake. "All right," he finally agreed, "but I want it on record that I'll pay back every cent as soon as I get on my feet. Financially." "Deal," Mrs. Thompson smiled. At 7 in the morning, the girls woke up. Emma was the first to appear in the kitchen, still in her pajamas, but already trying to comb her messy hair. "Good morning, Ty," she said, approaching her brother. "Good morning, Em. Sleep well?" "I did," she replied, but there was something worried in her expression. "Ty, are we really going to stay here forever?" Tyler knelt in front of his sister, looking straight into her eyes. "Emma, I'll do everything in my power to make sure we stay together forever. But it'll be a little tough at first, and you'll have to help me a lot, okay?" "I'll help," Emma declared with determination. "I know how to take care of Liv and Lily." "I know you do," Tyler smiled. "But now you'll get to be a kid too. You'll study, play, make friends." Emma's eyes filled with happy tears. "Really? I get to go to school? Really?" Olivia and Lily appeared soon after, still sleepy but curious to explore their new surroundings. Mrs. Thompson had prepared a special breakfast for them: homemade sweetbread, chocolate milk, and fresh, seasonal fruit. "Is all this for us?" Olivia asked, amazed at the abundance. "Yes, sweetheart," Mrs. Thompson replied warmly, "and you'll have breakfast like this every day." After breakfast, Tyler took the girls to see the little house where they'd be living. The path through the coffee fields enchanted them. They'd never seen such a large, well-kept plantation. "Ty, what are these little plants?" Lily asked, pointing to the coffee bushes. "Those are coffee plants, Lily. This is where the coffee we drink comes from." "And we get to live right in the middle of all this?" Olivia asked, awestruck. "We are going to live here," Tyler confirmed, feeling his heart warm at the sight of his sister's joy. When they arrived at the little house, the girls were initially disappointed by its condition. It was very dirty and messy. "It looks like our old house," Emma said sadly. "No, Em," Tyler quickly replied. "Our old house was dirty because no one took care of it. This one is dirty because it's been abandoned, but we'll clean everything up and make it really nice." "How are we going to do that?" Olivia asked. "By working together," Tyler explained. "Each of you will have tasks according to your age. Emma can help me sweep and organize, Olivia can put things where they belong, and Lily can cheer us on." The girls laughed at the last part, and Tyler felt he was on the right track to turn this experience into something positive for them. They started cleaning right away. Tyler opened all the windows to air out the place while the girls helped as best they could. Emma showed an impressive knack for organization for her age, sorting what could be kept from what needed to be thrown out. Around 10 in the morning, they had an unexpected visitor. A young woman, about 30 years old, walked up through the coffee fields. She wore simple but clean clothes and carried a clipboard. "Good morning," she greeted. "Are you Tyler's family?" "I'm Tyler," he replied, stepping out of the house. "And these are my sisters, My name is Sarah, I'm a social worker, the woman introduced herself. I'm here to do the first assessment of your situation. Tyler's heart raced. He hadn't expected the visit so soon, and the house was still in terrible shape. You're a little early, he said nervously. We're still getting everything organized. I know, Sarah smiled. That's exactly why I came today. I want to follow your whole process of settling into your new life. Sarah went inside the little house and took detailed notes on everything. The condition of the walls, the functionality of the bathrooms, the safety of the electrical wiring. She also spoke with each of the girls individually, asking how they felt and if Tyler was taking good care of them. The children seem to be adjusting well, Sarah remarked after finishing the assessment, but there's still a lot that needs to be done here. I know, Tyler agreed. I'm working on it. Tyler, I'll be very direct with you, Sarah said, putting away her clipboard. The situation is far from ideal. You don't have proper furniture, kitchen supplies, enough clothes for the kids. It's a lot to handle in just a few days. I'll manage, Tyler insisted, though he had doubts himself. I hope so, Sarah said, because when I come back next Wednesday, I'll need to see significant progress. Otherwise, I'll have to recommend placing the children in temporary foster care. The threat left Tyler frozen. It wasn't malice on Sarah's part. She was just doing her job, but it meant he had even less time than he thought. After Sarah left, Tyler sat on the porch of the little house with his 3 sisters beside him. He was beginning to understand the true scale of the challenge he'd taken on. Ty, are you sad? Lily asked, noticing his worried expression. I'm not sad, Lily, he replied, trying to smile. I'm just thinking about everything we need to do. We'll manage, Emma declared with a conviction that impressed Tyler. I know we will, his little sister's unwavering faith renewed Tyler's strength. If a 6-year-old believed they could do it, he had to believe it too. Yes, we will, he agreed, but we'll have to work really hard. For the rest of the morning, they kept cleaning the house. Around noon, Mrs. Thompson showed up bringing lunch and a surprise. Tyler, she said with a smile on her face, I spoke with some neighbors about your situation. Mrs. Harrison, who lives on the farm next door, has some old furniture she doesn't use anymore. She wants to donate it to you. Tyler felt his eyes fill with tears of gratitude. Are you sure, ma'am? Absolutely. And Mrs. Reynolds, who runs a general store in town, set aside some basic kitchen supplies. She said you can pick them up whenever you want. The generosity of these women deeply moved Tyler. He was learning that sometimes community could feel more like family than your own blood. Mrs. Thompson, how can I ever thank you? No need to thank me, she replied. Just take good care of those girls. That's all any of us want. That afternoon, Mr. Thompson lent his pickup truck to Tyler to collect the donated furniture. Mrs. Harrison had set aside 2 twin beds, a small wardrobe, a table with 4 chairs, and a few other basic items. My husband passed away 2 years ago, explained Mrs. Harrison, a woman with white hair and gentle hands. These things have just been sitting in storage unused. It's better they go to someone who needs them. You have no idea what this means. To us? Tyler said emotionally. Oh, I do, she smiled. I was a single mother too when I was young. I know what it's like to struggle to give your children the best. When they returned to the little house, the girls were overjoyed to see the furniture arriving. They helped as much as they could, carrying the smaller pieces, and watched in awe as Tyler and Mr. Thompson assembled everything in place. It looks like a real home, Olivia exclaimed when they finished. It is a real home, Tyler corrected. Our real home. That night, for the first time in their lives, the 3 sisters had their own organized spaces. Emma and Olivia would share a bed in the smaller room, while Lily would sleep with Tyler in the larger one. It was simple, but it was home. Ty, Emma said when he came to tuck them in. Thank you. What for, Em? For coming to get us, for not letting those bad men take us away. Tyler kissed his sister's forehead, his chest tight with emotion. No need to thank me, you're my family. I'll always protect you. On Monday morning, Tyler woke before dawn with a clear goal: to enroll the girls in school. Mrs. Thompson had gotten the phone number of the principal at Mountain Creek Elementary and scheduled a meeting for 9 in the morning. The trip to the school took 40 minutes by bus. It was the girls' first time riding public transportation, and they were fascinated watching the rural scenery pass by the window. The school was a simple single-story building painted yellow and green with a large playground where some children were already playing before class. The principal, a middle-aged woman named Principal Matthews, greeted them warmly. "So, these are the girls who will be joining us," she said, kneeling to meet them at eye level. "What are your names?" "Emma," the oldest answered shyly. "Olivia," said the middle one, hiding behind Tyler. "Lily," finished the youngest, braver than her sisters. "Beautiful names," the principal smiled. "Emma, you're 6, right? You'll start first grade. And Olivia, 4 years old, will be in preschool." "What about me?" Lily asked. "You're still too little, sweetheart," Principal Matthews explained gently. "But when you turn 4, you can come to school with us too." Tyler explained their entire situation to the principal, who listened with care and understanding. "I see the difficult position you're in," she said. "We'll do everything we can to help these girls adjust. They'll need uniforms, school supplies." "I'll take care of everything," Tyler assured, though he had no idea where he'd get the money for it. "Don't worry," said Principal Matthews. "The school has an assistance program for families in need. We can provide the uniforms and basic supplies until you get settled." Once again, Tyler was moved by people's generosity. It seemed that every time a problem arose, someone appeared willing to help. The girls were introduced to their future, teachers and classmates. Emma showed a natural curiosity for letters and numbers, while Olivia was enchanted by the educational toys in the kindergarten area. "They'll start tomorrow," Principal Matthews informed him. "The school bus picks up at Hope Valley Farm at 7 in the morning and brings them back at 5 in the afternoon." Back at the farm, Tyler spent the rest of the day working in the fields to make up for lost time. The extra hours he'd promised Mr. Thompson meant working later, but he didn't mind. Every effort was a step toward building a stable life for his sisters. That evening, he helped the girls prepare for their first day of school. He washed and ironed the uniforms borrowed from the school, packed their backpacks with basic supplies, and explained what their routine would be like. Ty, what if the other kids don't like us?" Emma asked, her voice tinged with natural anxiety. "Why wouldn't they?" Tyler replied. "You're polite, kind, and smart. I'm sure you'll make plenty of friends." "But what if we don't know how to do the things they do?" Emma pressed. Tyler remembered that his sisters had never attended school regularly. They were likely behind other kids their age. "Don't worry about that," he said gently. "No one is born knowing everything. School is exactly where you go to learn, and you're both so smart you'll catch up in no time." On Tuesday morning, Tyler woke up even earlier to make sure the girls were ready when the school bus arrived. He fixed them a hearty breakfast, double-checked their supplies, and gave them endless reminders about behavior and safety. When the yellow bus appeared on the farm road, the girls were nervous but excited. Tyler walked them to the door, where they were greeted by Mrs. Wilson, the monitor responsible for the children during the ride. "Don't worry," Mrs. Wilson told Tyler. "I'll take good care of them." Watching the bus drive away with his little sisters was one of the hardest moments Tyler had faced. It was the first time he'd been apart from them since leaving their mother's home, and part of him feared something might go wrong. Mrs. Thompson, noticing his unease, walked over. "It's normal to worry on the first day," she said kindly, "but they'll be fine. School is a safe place and they need this experience." Tyler spent the day working in the fields, but his thoughts kept returning to his sisters. How were they doing? Were they keeping up with the lessons? Were they making friends? At exactly 5 in the afternoon, he was waiting by the road when the school bus returned. The girls stepped off excitedly, all talking at once about their day. "Ty, I learned to write my name," Emma exclaimed, holding up a paper with shaky but recognizable letters. "And I played with clay and painted a picture," Olivia said, proudly showing off a colorful sheet. Lily, who had stayed with Mrs. Thompson all day, ran to meet her sisters, eager to hear about school. "Can I go tomorrow too?" she asked, not wanting to be left out. "When you're just a little older," Tyler explained. "But today you can play with your sisters and they'll tell you everything they learned." At night, while the girls did their homework, simple motor coordination exercises and letter recognition, Tyler felt truly proud. In just a few days, He had managed to give his sisters something they'd never had before: access to education. But his satisfaction was interrupted by a growing worry. Sarah, the social worker, would return on Wednesday for the second evaluation. And despite all the progress, Tyler knew there were still many problems to solve. The biggest one was financial. Even with the raise Mr. Thompson had given him, the money still wasn't enough to properly support a family of 4. They needed clothes, more varied food, medicine when necessary, and 1,000 other things a normal family requires. That night, Tyler crunched numbers over and over, trying to make the budget work. No matter how he calculated, there was never enough money. He was starting to despair when he heard a knock at the door. It was Mr. Thompson with an unexpected offer. "Tyler," the farmer said, "I spoke with some local producers today. They heard about your situation and want to offer you extra work on weekends." "What kind of work?" "General tasks on their properties, maintenance, cleaning, small repairs. It's not heavy labor, but it pays well, and you can take the girls with you." Tyler could hardly believe it. Once again, the community was stepping up to help him. "I'll take it," he said immediately. "Any extra work that comes up." "Great." Mr. Thompson smiled. "You can start this Saturday at Joseph Smith's farm. He needs someone to paint the property fence." On Wednesday morning, Tyler woke up especially nervous. It was the day of Sarah's second visit, and he knew his custody of the sisters depended on her evaluation. He spent an extra hour tidying the house, making sure everything was clean and in order. The girls, sensing his anxiety, also worked hard to make everything perfect. Sarah arrived promptly at 10 in the morning, and Tyler was relieved to see she seemed surprised by the improvements. "Wow, what a difference," she remarked, stepping into the house, which now had organized furniture, curtains on the windows, and a cozy atmosphere. "You've all worked so hard." "The girls helped with everything," Tyler said, wanting Sarah to know the children were actively involved in building their new home. Sarah spoke with each of the girls again, asking about school, how they felt living there, and if Tyler was taking good care of them. "Emma told me she's learning to read," Sarah commented, "and Olivia said she has a really nice teacher." "They love school," Tyler confirmed. "I've never seen them so excited about anything." "And you, Tyler, how are you handling all this responsibility?" It was a tough question. Tyler wanted to be honest, but didn't want to give the impression he couldn't manage. "It's challenging," he admitted, "but I'm learning every day. And I've gotten a lot of support from the community." Sarah nodded, taking notes. "I can see there's been significant improvement since my last visit," she said. "The house is organized, the children seem happy and well cared for, they're attending school regularly." Tyler waited anxiously, afraid a but would follow the positive remarks. "My evaluation today is positive," Sarah continued, "but there are still a few days before the final deadline, and some issues remain unresolved. The main one is finances. You need to show you have enough income to support the children long term." "I'm working on it," Tyler assured her. "I've got an extra weekend work." "That's great. Next Friday, when I do the final evaluation, I'll need to see proof of income, bank statements, evidence that you can support yourselves independently." After Sarah left, Tyler felt relieved but still worried. He had passed the second evaluation, but the third and final one would be the most rigorous. For the rest of the week, Tyler worked harder than he ever had in his life. He woke up at 5 in the morning to work in the fields, took care of the house and the girls during the day, and still found time to study ways to increase his income. On Saturday, he took the 3 sisters to Joseph Smith's farm, where he would start his extra job painting fences. The girls were excited about the outing, and Tyler found that working with them nearby made the tasks more enjoyable. "Ty, can I help paint?" asked Emma, watching him brush the wood. "Of course," Tyler smiled, handing her a small brush. "But be careful not to get too messy." Olivia and Lily also wanted to help, and soon the whole family was involved in the work. Joseph Smith, watching the scene, was impressed by Tyler's dedication and the girls' manners. "Tyler," he said at the end of the day, "you have a beautiful family and these girls are very well behaved." "Thank you, Mr. Smith," Tyler replied, his chest swelling with pride. "If you want, you can come work here every Saturday. There's always something to do, and I pay well." Once again, Tyler's honesty and hard work were opening doors. He was starting to believe he could really build a stable life for his family. On Thursday, the day before Sarah's final evaluation, Tyler gathered all the documents proving his financial situation. There were his pay stubs from the farm, receipts from his side jobs, bank statements showing he could save a small amount each month. It wasn't much money, but it was honest and enough to support the family simply yet decently. The girls, sensing the next day was important, made sure to tidy the house even more carefully than usual. Emma even drew a picture to give to Sarah. "It's a happy family," she explained, showing the drawing of 4 people holding hands. "It's me, Liv, Lily, and Ty." Tyler looked at the drawing and felt his eyes fill with tears. There, represented in crayon, was everything he had fought for, a united and happy family. Friday morning, Tyler woke with a knot of nerves in his stomach. This was the day of the final decision. In just a few hours, he would know if he could keep custody of his sisters or if they'd be taken to a shelter. Sarah arrived at 10 in the morning, as usual, but this time she wasn't alone. She brought a middle-aged man who introduced himself as Dr. Roberts, a psychologist from social services. "Today we'll do a more thorough evaluation," Sarah explained. "Dr. Roberts will talk to the children to assess their emotional well-being." Tyler's heart raced. He hadn't expected this. What if the girls said something that could hurt their case? Dr. Roberts turned out to be kind and patient. He spoke to each of the girls separately, asking how they felt, if they were happy, if Tyler took good care of them. Meanwhile, Sarah did a final inspection of the house and Tyler's financial records. "I see you've managed to stabilize your finances," she remarked, reviewing the papers. "The numbers show you can support yourselves modestly but adequately." "Yes," Tyler confirmed, "and I'm always looking for ways to improve our situation." When Dr. Roberts finished talking to the girls, he asked to speak privately with Tyler. "The children show a very strong attachment to you," he said. "It's clear they feel safe and loved. Emma, in particular, has impressive maturity for her age, but that doesn't seem to come from excessive pressure, rather from an environment that encourages responsibility." Tyler could barely contain his relief. "Olivia is adjusting very well to school and shows healthy self-esteem," the psychologist continued, "and Lily, though the youngest, clearly feels protected and cared for." "They're amazing girls," Tyler said with genuine pride. "They truly are, and it's evident that's a result of the care you give them." Sarah and Dr. Roberts stepped aside to talk privately for a few minutes. Tyler waited anxiously, watching his sisters play in the backyard, unaware of the importance of that moment. When the two returned, Sarah's serious expression made Tyler fear the worst. "Tyler," she said formally, "after evaluating all aspects of the situation, we've reached a decision about the children's custody." Tyler held his breath. "The evaluation is positive," Sarah announced with a smile that completely transformed her expression. "You've demonstrated the ability to care for your sisters properly. The temporary custody will be converted to permanent guardianship." Tyler's legs trembled. He had done it. Against all odds, he had kept the family together. "Does that mean—" he began, hardly daring to believe it. "It means they're officially yours now," Sarah confirmed. "You're their legal guardian." "Congratulations, Tyler." The girls, sensing something important was happening, ran over. "What's wrong, Ty?" Emma asked. "Why are you crying?" Tyler knelt and hugged all 3 sisters tightly. "I'm crying from happiness, Em," he explained through tears. "We get to stay together forever now, officially." "Forever?" Olivia asked. "Forever," Tyler confirmed. The girls erupted in joyful shouts, hugging Tyler and each other. Sarah and Dr. Roberts watched the scene with emotional smiles. "You deserve this happiness," Sarah said. "It's one of the most beautiful fights I've ever witnessed." After Sarah and Dr. Roberts left, Tyler stayed alone with his sisters, still processing the magnitude of what had happened. In just 2 weeks, he had completely transformed their lives. "Ty," Emma said thoughtfully, "are you kind of like our dad now?" The question caught Tyler off guard. He had never thought of it that way, but in a sense, that's exactly what he had become. "I guess I am, Em," he replied, still getting used to the idea. "If you want me to be." "I do," Emma said immediately. Me too, Olivia agreed. Me too, Lily shouted, not wanting to be left out. That night, Tyler barely slept, not from worry this time, but from happiness so intense it kept him awake. He had achieved the impossible, turning a desperate situation into a fresh start for their whole family. In the days that followed, Tyler and the girls settled into a happy, healthy routine. The sisters continued thriving in school, making friends and developing their unique personalities. Emma proved to be a dedicated and responsible student. Olivia was creative and affectionate, and Lily grew more confident and talkative each day. Tyler kept working at the farm during the week and taking on extra jobs on weekends. Little by little, he improved their home, bought the girls new clothes, and even a small TV so they could watch cartoons at night. A month after the official custody decision, they received an unexpected visit. It was Mrs. Gardner, the neighbor who had warned Tyler about the sisters being auctioned off. "My God, how well you all look," she exclaimed, observing the girls' transformation. "You've grown taller, healthier, happier." "Mrs. Gardner," the girls shouted, running to hug her. "Aunt Gardner, I'm learning to read," said Emma proudly. "Do you want me to read you a book?" "Of course, sweetheart." Mrs. Gardner smiled, sitting down to listen. As Emma slowly read a children's story, Mrs. Gardner talked to Tyler. "You've worked a miracle, young man," she said emotionally. "You've completely changed these children's lives." "They're the ones who changed my life," Tyler corrected. "They gave me a purpose, a reason to wake up every day and do my best." "And your mother? Have you heard anything from her?" Tyler shook his head. "I haven't seen her since that day. Do you know anything, Mrs. Gardner?" "She left town shortly after what happened," Mrs. Gardner explained. "From what I heard, she went to the capital to try her luck there." Tyler felt a pang of sadness, but not longing. It was sadness that Tammy had missed the chance to see the amazing women her daughters were becoming. "I hope she finds what she's looking for," he said sincerely, "and that one day she understands what she lost." Mrs. Gardner stayed for dinner, and it was a joyful evening full of stories. The girls loved having a visitor, and Mrs. Gardner melted with pride seeing how healthy and well-mannered they'd grown. "Tyler," she said before leaving, "I want you to know what you've done is extraordinary. You saved these girls and built a real family." "Thank you, Mrs. Gardner. You were also a big part of this story. If you hadn't called me that." I don't even want to think about it," she interrupted with a shudder. "What matters is everything worked out." 6 months later, the family had fully settled into their new life. Tyler had been promoted at the farm to a supervisor position, which meant better pay and more responsibilities. The girls were doing exceptionally well in school, especially Emma, who showed a natural aptitude for learning. One Sunday afternoon, as they played in the backyard, Lily asked a question that surprised Tyler. "Ty, why did Mommy want to sell us?" It was a question he knew would come one day, but he'd never found an answer suitable for a 4-year-old. "Lily," he said carefully, "sometimes people make wrong choices when they're struggling. Mommy was going through a hard time and thought that was the only way out." "But it was wrong, right?" the little girl insisted. "It was very wrong," Tyler confirmed. "No one should ever sell a child. Children aren't things to be sold." "And why did you come to get us?" Tyler smiled, picking Lily up. "Because I love you. And real family doesn't abandon family, no matter what." "Will you always take care of us?" she asked. "Always," Tyler promised. "Until you grow up and want to take care of yourselves. And then I'll keep loving you and will always be here if you need me." Lily smiled, satisfied, and went back to playing, but the conversation made Tyler reflect on the future. The girls were growing up, developing their own dreams and personalities. One day they'd leave this house to build their own lives, but until then, he'd do everything in his power to give them the best opportunities possible. A year after gaining full custody of the sisters, Tyler received an unexpected call. It was Jonah, the city employee who had helped with the initial process. "Tyler, I have a proposal for you," Jonah said. "The city is starting a support program for families in vulnerable situations. We're looking for people with hands-on experience to work as mentors. Interested?" Tyler was surprised by the offer. "What kind of work would it be?" Visit families going through struggles similar to what you faced, offering guidance, practical support, and helping connect them with resources available in the community. The idea moved Tyler deeply. The possibility of helping other families, using his own experience, was tempting. "Can I think about it?" "Of course, but I want you to know you'd be perfect for this role. You've been through everything these families are facing and managed to overcome it. Your story is inspiring." That evening, Tyler talked to the girls about the proposal. "Would it be like helping other kids the way you helped us?" asked Emma, now 7 and increasingly perceptive. "Exactly," Tyler confirmed. "I think you should do it," she said thoughtfully. "There are lots of kids who need someone like you." His little sister's wisdom still amazed him constantly. "And you too? Won't you mind if I have to travel sometimes to visit other families?" "We're big girls now," declared Olivia, all of 5 years old. "We can take care of ourselves. And there's always Mrs. Thompson to help us," Emma added. Tyler smiled, proud of his sister's maturity and generosity. "Then I think I'll accept the offer." 2 weeks later, Tyler started his new part-time job at the city office. He kept working at Hope Valley Farm in the mornings and dedicated his afternoons to the social program. His first assigned family was particularly tough. A single father of 3 who had lost his job and was about to lose his home. The situation reminded Tyler so much of his own 2 years earlier, but with extra complications. "I don't know what else to do," confessed Paul, a visibly desperate 30-year-old man. "I've been out of work for 3 months. The kids need to eat. The rent is overdue." Tyler listened patiently, recognizing in Paul's despair the same feelings he'd had when he took responsibility for his sisters. "Paul," he said calmly, "I know exactly what you're going through. 2 years ago, I was in a similar spot. How did you get out of it?" Tyler shared his own story, from the day he found his mother trying to sell his sisters to where he was. Now, Paul listened with growing hope. "If you made it," Paul said at the end, "maybe I can too." "You will," Tyler assured him. "But you'll need help, and there's no shame in accepting it when it's for your kids' sake." Over the next few months, Tyler helped Paul find a new job, negotiate the overdue rent, and enroll his kids in available social programs. It was rewarding to see another family rebuild, overcoming what had seemed impossible. The work at the city office also brought unexpected benefits for Tyler's own family. The girls, seeing their brother help other kids, developed an early social awareness and a natural desire to help those in need. "Ty," Emma said one day, "can I bring some of my toys to the kids you help?" "Are you sure?" Tyler asked. "They're your toys." "I'm sure," she said. "We have way more than we need. Other kids might need them." His sister's generosity was a direct reflection of the values Tyler had tried to instill in them. He wasn't just raising healthy, well-behaved girls. He was raising compassionate, aware citizens. 2.5 years after taking custody of his sisters, Tyler got a phone call that would change their lives once again. It was a lawyer from the state capital, explaining that Tammy had passed away in an accident and left a small inheritance for her daughters. The news hit Tyler like an unexpected blow. Despite everything that had happened, Tammy was still the girl's mother, and her passing marked the definitive end of any possibility of reconciliation or explanation. "How am I going to tell them?" Tyler asked Mrs. Thompson, who had become a sort of adoptive grandmother to the girls. "With honesty," she replied. "They're stronger than you think." That night, Tyler gathered the 3 sisters in the living room and told them about their mother's passing. Their reaction was more mature than he had expected. "Is she in a better place now?" asked Olivia, now 6 years old. "I hope so," Tyler answered, "and I hope she found the peace she couldn't find here." "I'll miss the idea of her," Emma said thoughtfully. "The mother she could have been if she hadn't had so many problems." The depth of the comment surprised Tyler. At 8 years old, Emma already showed impressive emotional understanding. The inheritance Tammy left wasn't much, a few $1,000s divided among the 3 girls, but Tyler decided to use the money for something special, an education fund for each of them. "This money came from your mother," he explained. "I'll save it for when you go to college. It'll be her contribution to your future." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, Take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now continuing, the years passed quickly. Emma became an exemplary student, always at the top of her class, with dreams of becoming a teacher like the ones she admired so much at school. Olivia developed a natural talent for the arts, spending hours drawing and creating imaginary stories. Lily, the youngest, showed signs of inheriting her older brother's determination and her sister's intelligence. Tyler kept working at the farm and the city's social program, building a solid reputation in both roles. Mr. Thompson, impressed by his dedication, had offered him the chance to become a minority partner in the farm once he had enough resources. "You've proven to be more than just an employee, Tyler," the farmer said in a conversation. "You're part of this property's family. When you're ready, I'd like to have you as a business partner." The offer was tempting and represented a chance for long-term financial security for the family. Tyler promised to seriously consider the proposal once the girls were a little older and more independent. One autumn afternoon, 5 years after taking custody of his sisters, Tyler was working in the yard when Emma, now 11, approached him with a serious expression. "Ty, can I talk to you?" she asked. "Of course, Em, what's up?" "I've been thinking about our story," she said, sitting beside her brother on the porch, "about the day you saved us." Tyler stopped what he was doing to give his sister his full attention. "I want to thank you," Emma continued, "not just for coming to get us that day, but for everything you've done since. For sacrificing so much to take care of us, for giving up your youth to be our dad." The words touched Tyler deeply. "Em, I didn't give up anything," he said affectionately. "You gave me a real family. You gave me purpose. I'm the one who should be thanking you." "Even so," she insisted, "I want you to know I recognize everything you've done. And when I grow up, I want to help other kids the way you helped me." Tyler hugged his sister, his chest swelling with pride. He hadn't just raised a healthy, well-educated girl. He'd raised a young woman with strong values and social awareness. "I'm sure you'll do amazing things in life, Em," he said, "and I'll always be here cheering for you." That night, Tyler reflected on the extraordinary journey they had traveled together. 5 years earlier, they had been 4 desperate people trying to hold on to each other amid chaos. Now, they were a solid family, united by bonds stronger than blood. Bonds forged in love, sacrifice, and the determination to always be there for one another. The girls were growing up, developing their own personalities and dreams. One day they would leave that house to build their own lives. But Tyler knew they would always be a family, no matter where life took them. Gazing out the window at the coffee field stretching to the horizon, bathed in the golden light of sunset, Tyler smiled. He had achieved the impossible, turning a desperate situation into a story of love, resilience, and hope. Deep in his heart, he knew his greatest accomplishment hadn't been saving his sisters on that terrible day 5 years ago. His greatest accomplishment had been building day after day through hard work and dedication. A real family, one that nothing and no one could ever destroy. 10 years had passed since that traumatic day when Tyler had stopped the auction of his sisters. The 3 girls were now young women with clear dreams and well-defined personalities. Emma, at 16, was a brilliant student who had just been accepted into a full scholarship program at a prestigious university in the capital. Her dream of becoming a teacher was coming true, and she already tutored younger children in the community. Olivia, at 14, had developed an exceptional talent for visual arts and creative writing. Her drawings and stories were admired by everyone who saw them, and she dreamed of becoming a children's book illustrator. Lily, at 13, showed natural leadership and a passion for social justice that impressed everyone around her. She often talked about studying law to advocate for children in vulnerable situations. Tyler, now 29, had become a respected figure in the community. He was a minority partner at Hope Valley Farm, coordinator of the municipal social program, and recognized as an example of resilience and family dedication. On a special Saturday morning, the family prepared for a long-awaited celebration, Emma's high school graduation. She would be the class speaker, an honor given to the school's top student. "Ty, nervous?" Olivia teased, watching her brother adjust his tie for the 5th time. "A little," Tyler admitted, smiling. It's a big day for Em. And for you too, Lily added. After all, you practically raised her. We raised each other, Tyler corrected, as he always did when someone tried to give him all the credit. We're a real family. The graduation ceremony was emotional. Emma shone in her speech, speaking about resilience, family, and the importance of never giving up on dreams. When she mentioned Tyler as the brother who became father, mother, and hero, there wasn't a dry eye in the audience. 10 years ago, she said from the podium, my family faced the hardest moment of our lives. It could have been the end of everything, but it became the beginning of a beautiful story, thanks to the courage and determination of a young man who chose love over ease, responsibility over freedom. Tyler, seated in the front row between Olivia and Lily, fought back tears of pride. Today, I'm not just celebrating my graduation, Emma continued. I'm celebrating the miracle of having had the chance to study, to dream, to grow up in a family that taught me true love is shown through actions, not just words. When the ceremony ended, the family was surrounded by friends, teachers, and members of the community. Everyone wanted to congratulate not just Emma, but the whole family for the example they represented. Mrs. Thompson, now 75 but still lively, approached Tyler with tears in her eyes. My son, she said emotionally, you've worked a miracle with these girls. Just look at what they've become. They were always special, Tyler replied. They just needed a chance. Mr. Thompson, now 70, and seeing Tyler as the son he never had, gave the young man a tight hug. I'm proud of you, Tyler, he said, not just for what you've achieved professionally, but for the man you've become and the family you've built. That evening at home, the family celebrated with a special dinner Olivia and Lily had secretly prepared. During the meal, Emma made an announcement that surprised everyone. I have a decision to share, she said solemnly. Tyler felt his heart, a race, fearing it was something serious. The university offered on-campus housing, Emma continued, but I've decided to turn it down. Why? Tyler asked, surprised. Because I want to keep living here, she explained. This is my home and you're my family. I can go to college and still come home every night. Em, Tyler said carefully, you have to live your own life. You can't pass up opportunities. For our sake. I'm not passing up anything, she insisted. I'm choosing to stay close to the people I love, at least for the first few years of college. Olivia and Lily enthusiastically supported their sister's decision, and Tyler, despite his worries about limiting Emma's experiences, couldn't help but be moved by her loyalty to the family. 2 years later, when Emma was in her second year of education studies and already working part-time as an assistant at a local school, the family received a completely unexpected visitor. She was a well-dressed middle-aged woman who arrived in a brand-new pickup truck. She introduced herself as Melissa, a social worker from a non-profit organization in the capital. I'm here because we've heard about the exceptional work you do with families in vulnerable situations, she explained. Our organization would like to propose a partnership. Tyler was intrigued. What kind of partnership? We want to create a family support center here in the region using the methods you've developed, Melissa said. It would be a pilot project that, if successful, could expand to other areas. The offer was tempting, but Tyler wanted more. Details. How exactly would it work? You'd be the local coordinators. You'd receive additional training, proper resources, and could hire a small team to assist. The goal is to create a replicable model for supporting families in crisis. And the girls? Tyler asked, always thinking of his family first. They could participate as much as they'd like, Melissa assured him. In fact, stories like yours are exactly what we want to use as inspiration for other families. That night, Tyler discussed the proposal with his sisters. It's a chance to help so many more families, Emma said enthusiastically, and you already have experience with this. We could create special programs for kids, Olivia suggested. I could help with art activities. And I could help with guidance on legal rights, added Lily, who at 15 already showed an impressive understanding of legal matters. The sisters' unanimous support convinced Tyler to accept the offer. 6 months later, the Tyler Johnson Family Support Center was operating in a spacious house the non-profit had rented in town. The name had been the sisters' suggestion to honor the man who had changed their lives. The center offered family counseling, psychological support, job training, activities for children, and an innovative mentor family program, stable families who guided others in the process of rebuilding. The work soon caught the attention of the local media. Stories about the young man who saved his sisters and now saves other families began appearing in newspapers and local radio programs. "I don't like being called a hero," Tyler said. In an interview, "I just did what any brother would do, and the success of our work is thanks to the whole community that supported us." But for the hundreds of families who passed through the center, Tyler was much more than a devoted brother. He was living proof that it was possible to overcome any hardship with determination, love, and community support. 3 years after the Center was founded, Emma had graduated with a degree in education and was working as the project's educational coordinator. Olivia, now 17, had created an art therapy program for traumatized children that was being replicated in other towns. Lily, at 16, led a group of young volunteers and was already giving talks about children's rights at schools in the area. On a sunny afternoon, as Tyler watched his sisters working with the families served by the center, he reflected on the extraordinary journey they had taken. 10 years ago, they were 4 desperate people facing the possibility of permanent separation. Today, they were a strong family who had turned their pain into a force for helping others. The girls had grown into remarkable women, educated, compassionate, and determined to make a difference in the world. And he had discovered that his life's mission went far beyond just being a protective brother. "Ty," Emma called, interrupting his thoughts, "there's a new family arriving. Can you greet them?" Tyler smiled, standing up to once again fulfill the role he had chosen so long ago, to be the bridge between despair and hope, between separation and unity, between fear and love. As he walked toward the family waiting in the reception area, a young father with 3 small children, visibly frightened and in need, Tyler remembered the words he had said to himself on that distant day when he saw his sisters being auctioned off. "No matter the cost, I'll protect them." Now, more than a decade later, he knew he had kept that promise in ways he never imagined possible. He hadn't just protected his sisters, he had helped hundreds of other families protect each other. And as he reached out to welcome another family seeking to rebuild, Tyler smiled with the certainty that sometimes the happiest endings are born from the most desperate beginnings. The end. Tyler proved that true love transforms destinies. Which moment touched your heart the most? Share your thoughts on family and overcoming adversity in the comments. Your likes and subscriptions motivate us to keep telling stories that inspire